Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're really excited to be able to partner here with Cisco on this particular event around embracing the hybrid workplace. We have an action-packed agenda this morning into this early afternoon, but we're eager to share a lot of information with you. So we're going to kind of go through some further introductions. I'll take us through some opening statements and the state of collaboration. I'm going to hand it off to Craig Tranter from Cisco to do a remote demo. Some of the technology that we've seen recently that I think would resonate quite well with this particular audience. I'll go through some use cases with Scott Nitty, and then we'll have some wrap up and next steps. So for some of our existing customers that are on the call today, just want to thank you guys for investing your time with us. We appreciate everything that you do with us throughout the course of the year over the last 16 plus years. And there's some folks on the call today that are meeting us for the first time. So thank you for investing your time with us as well. We look forward to an opportunity to meet you a bit more formally in the weeks to come. The group that we have on today is pretty diverse. We had some unprecedented interest in this particular topic, so we're very excited about that. But we have representation from a number of different industries that range from architecture and planning, banking, broadcast media, financial services, higher education, legal, luxury goods, marketing and advertising, nonprofit, oil, energy, just a really diverse group. We're going to do our best to tailor the conversation and the talk track to the broad range of attendees, but just know that there'll be an opportunity for us to circle back around, regroup a little bit, and if you would like a customized customer experience center experience for your organization, you'll just let us know. So by way of those introductions, as Anthony had said, I'm Leo Galetta, President and CEO of Converged Technology Group. Had been around for quite a while, a lot of industry experience, but at Converged, we're here for 16 plus years. We have Craig Tranter, System Engineer from the Customer Experience Center. So he's the global lead. So thank you again, Craig, for joining us today. The presentation that you have and the demos are best in class. So we're excited about that. And again, you have Scott Nitty, our Director of Technology Solutions from Converged Technology Group. He helps us with continued innovation as well as engage with our customers around leading edge collaboration solutions. So definitely a collaboration subject matter expert. So what's the state of collaboration today? Over the last couple of years, I think we and our organizations have been through quite a bit. And I remember early on, we were in unprecedented times. We were talking about a number of different responses to the global pandemic. And the thought process was that as we were to proceed through that there would be something called the new normal. And this new normal concept had come up over and over and over again. And it was something that I think quite early on got overused. And I think it was kind of like, all right, hey, let's just kind of deal with the here and now and then work our way into the future. But what we know is that for what we can see and our experiences and the research shows is that we're in a new era of work. The vast majority of our staff is remote, more remote now than ever. Our staff and our organizations are looking for flexible working arrangements. The experience that they're looking for when in the office needs to be differentiated, and that helps with the recruitment, retention of key talent, as well as inviting folks back into the workspace. Had an amazing experience with one of our customers in the last week or two around some of the new space that they designed. A proud moment for the organization, an unprecedented experience. It was just amazing what they did in order to be able to create an environment to help facilitate collaboration, engagement with their team. So maybe they'll create an opportunity if anybody wants to see something that's truly world class. And then we have this idea around the safe return to the office. So I believe that for most of us, we're experiencing in the moment an environment where the pandemic is a bit of an ebb. And that cases are down and things like that. But the unfortunate reality is that we never know what's kind of right around the corner, right? So we're going to embrace the moment, make the most of every opportunity that we have to be to get together. But we have to be mindful of the health and wellness of our teams as they return to the office as well. And some of what we'll talk to in terms of technology is going to highlight that today. So when we talk about the hybrid workplace and some of the trends that we see using some research as well as our own practical experience engaging with our customers, we know that flexibility is going to be one of the keys, right? And it's going to be king for the foreseeable future. There's a factoid out there that talks about only 9% of the global workforce are fully expected to return to the office after the offices are open. And we're starting to see that a bit more, but there's not many organizations that we engage with where coming out of the pandemic, that we're going to have that full immersion, that full return to work, where folks are going to be fully in space. Not saying that it won't happen, not saying that it's not happening in some places, but certainly with the customers that we work with, the vast majority of employees remain remote, and that's what we are anticipating well into the foreseeable future. We also understand that virtual collaboration is no longer a nice to have. A lot of our customers, I remember the first days, the first weeks, the first months, when we pivoted into this remote workforce, our staff was in pretty much an emergency situation, servicing hundreds of organizations, trying to figure out how to pivot into this remote work environment. And in most cases, it was a best effort. It was try to get this broadband connectivity in, enable our remote workforce, try to enable some applications on the desktop. And in response to something that was unanticipated and unprecedented, most organizations did the best that they could in the moment. And in some cases, they went to what was immediately available. Maybe a desktop application that was available, maybe a different platform, predominantly software-based, hardware, it became difficult to come by. But it was more of a reaction rather than a response. But the idea was to enable our staffs as quickly as possible, to enable them to communicate and effectively collaborate the best we could. But now that we have runway and we're looking back and there's lessons learned and things like that, some of the organizations that are leaning in more to this hybrid workplace are really thinking about sustainable, high quality interactions amongst their staffs. And even when we look into the foreseeable future, the idea is that in the vast majority of meetings that we will have, as many as 98% of them, it will have some number of remote participants working from home or maybe even working from anywhere. So an important point. And then intelligent workspaces and workplaces is top of mind as well. And the idea is that, hey, when folks come to the office and they're congregating and they're in a room, are we maintaining social distancing protocol? What is the experience for the end user in terms of engaging with remote employees? Throughout the course of a day, I know that me personally, that I'm collaborating on multiple platforms, hour by hour and day by day, as I'm engaging with not only my team, but also some of our customers. And not everybody is standardized on a single platform. So it's really important to be able to have the flexibility to be able to interact on various collaboration platforms. And when people in the office in group settings, to be able to connect to those platforms in a seamless way. Another key thing that we're seeing is the revisitation of the office space. And the idea that, that most organizations want to optimize that space. 53% of large organizations are planning to reduce the office footprint. We're seeing that quite a bit. Over the course of the last 24 months, we've been fortunate to engage with a number of organizations on some of their relocation projects. In relocating, they're revisiting their workspace. They're talking about open floor plans. They're talking about larger conference rooms. What's the experience, the audio and visual experience in the conference rooms? If they're collaborating with remote offices, that's one scenario. If there's remote participants, there's others. And Scott's going to talk through some of those use cases. But the idea is that when they are in the office, especially in this new revised footprint, what's the experience? How simple is it so they can maximize the efficiency of collaboration in this hybrid world? So when we talk about the hybrid workplace, we're talking about having an environment that's flexible and seamless so people can collaborate from anywhere. So remote in many instances is home office, but it could be any office. And we're seeing a bit of that happening in the world as well. It also requires a change in the experience people have from working from home. So a best effort type application is becoming less of the standard moving forward. The idea is that when folks are remote, we want that to be high quality, a high level of engagement, immersive. We want additional technology to enable those meetings to ensure that we get the best of what our hybrid team, our collective team has to offer for our internal initiatives as well as our customer-facing initiatives. And in aggregate, those tools have to account for messaging, meeting, calling, sharing of content, and facilitate the collaboration from any space. And that's what we're thinking about. It's the hybrid of any person working on any device from anywhere in a seamless way. Some of the benefits that we see in a hybrid workplace will certainly improve employee productivity and their overall experience. I think we have some work to do on the experience side, depending on the endpoint and the PC architecture and the applications and the drivers and all the things that power the equipment that we're using. There's certainly an opportunity for optimization there. I'm going to make a point about that in a moment. Another strategic opportunity for all of us is the access to the national, in some cases, the global talent pool. So now that we're not bound by geography, we have an opportunity to now recruit, develop, and retain talent, the best talent in the country in our respective industries, in order to be able to elevate our team. And what we're seeing in some of our recruitment is that the workforce is increasingly looking for employers who provide them with the flexibility to be able to work in a home environment, but they want to be able to do it in a very productive way. So when they're applying their time, they want to make sure that it's very reliable and available and functional. We see greater organizational flexibility and agility. So when people are in the office, remote, traveling, et cetera, certainly we want to be able to support that agile work style. And we touched earlier about optimizing real estate expenses. We know that, hey, our footprint, our brick and mortar footprint, is simply one of the line items that we have in our overall P&L. So it's something that I know a lot of the business owners that I'm interacting with and business leaders are continuously evaluating. So in building a hybrid workplace, we have to understand that home is the new collaboration hub. We have to understand that the home office is an extension of the corporate network. We're thinking about that data connectivity. We're thinking about that collaboration application connectivity, and we're thinking about the security associated with enabling that type of interaction and experience. And we have to understand that that employees who are working remotely, that they're going to switch between home office and the actual brick and mortar office, and that collaboration software is going to be really important. In most scenarios, in a home office environment, we see folks using PC-based applications, and that is certainly a cost-effective option. But what we also see is that where it makes sense, that organizations who are investing in purpose-built devices that are optimal for collaboration experiences, that's where you're getting the most seamless benefit. So I just want to kind of plant the seed around rethinking that a little bit. Because if we're on call several times a day, which translates to dozens of times throughout the course of the week, which translates to hundreds of times throughout the course of the month, and maybe thousands of times throughout the course of the year, and we're thinking about investments that we're making for 3 and 5 years, the return on operational investment, right, operational ROI, is unbelievable, right, when you can facilitate a repeatable, predictable, high experience or a collaborative experience for our team members, right? So it's just a very important point to think through as we're investing in endpoints. The office buildings will serve a unique purpose. We understand that the workspace itself is under a state of transformation. We want those spaces to provide rich collaboration experiences. The space itself is more within our control, right? How many instances do we have a scenario where we have folks working from home? That there's uncontrolled circumstances, but we want to make sure that we create the best experience possible in our space. And when we're thinking about our phases in terms of the hybrid workplace, we're thinking about 3 things: the support for remote employees, we're thinking about the planning a safe return to the office, and delivering that intelligent workplace experience. And that's kind of the framework that we're using for our conversations. When we're thinking about those remote employees, we get into the details of that, right? What is the audio experience? What is the background noise cancellation? How is the technology enabling folks to have the best experience possible to help facilitate seamless and immersive collaboration with their colleagues? So think about the quality of the headset, as well as the comfort of the headset for folks that may be on the phone for 8 hours plus. The leveraging of technology, a digital assistant to capture meeting notes and action items, not only for the benefit of the participants, but also for the recording capabilities to then provide that back. So if there's action items that other team members who weren't able to be present can now benefit from those insights and actively participate. The use of whiteboarding technology, and again, the dedicated video meeting equipment. Some of what you're going to see showcased from Craig today is going to show you some technology around the best of what our industry has to offer. So it might prompt us to kind of rethink a little bit about really what's the role of the endpoint and how does that facilitate the most effective exchange. When we think about the return to office, it goes everything from planning access to the space. What do I have to touch when I'm in the office? How do I get from the lobby into our particular space if we're in a multi-floor building? All the rooms sanitized, and do we have the ability using technology to maintain social distancing protocol that at the moment may not be as much of a concern, but in the future, we have to be prepared. And then when we are in the workplace, just knowing that that we're using the best technology possible in order to be able to ensure that safe return to work. So we can't predict the future, but what I do want to share is that what we know is technology is going to be an enabler to help our team members work throughout the course of their day. We want to connect with folks. We want to ensure that they have an immersive experience. We want to preserve culture. An increased percentage of our staff may be out of region. We want to be able to tap into that national and global talent pool. And we want to be able to do it in a way that enables us to provide the best experience for our customers. So the workplace, as we see it, is hybrid. I can't say forever, but certainly that's the way that we anticipate it will be well into the foreseeable future. It's the experience that we have in our home office. It's the experience that we have when we're on the go. And it's the experience that we have as we safely return to our workplace. So guys, just want to share a little bit of what we see, some facts. This presentation, as well as some supporting documentation, will be available as a follow-up. But the thing that we know is that the hybrid workplace is here to stay. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Craig. He's going to give us an experience that we had seen quite a while back that we want to share with our customers and folks that are viewing us for the first time. But we are excited to revisit this for anybody who may want to see this tailored in a way that resonates with their specific organization and their specific industry. All right, guys. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Craig. And Craig, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So guys, I'm joining you from our London Cisco Experience Centre. My name is Craig, and I'm joined from a couple of different devices. We have a couple of ways that we can change layouts on the WebEx platform. So we can force you to have a specific layout, but if you guys are in a grid view right now, you can also go to the top right. There'll be a little layout option, and you can go ahead and change that. Please put it into stack view. That will make me the large speaker on your screen, and then everyone else, you'll still get to see their wonderful faces on video in a little film strip. The reason is I want to be the center of attention. No, it's not just that. It's the fact that I'm going to be pointing my cameras at different things, and I want you to experience this, whereas if I'm in a tiny little window, you won't be able to see as well. So please feel free to change your layouts. Thank you very much. So I'm going to run through a number of different things. I'm going to run through how I'm enabled to work from home, how we can improve that experience, and then I'm going to swap on to one of my other systems and point the cameras at all the other devices so we can talk about that safe return to office and how we improve those experiences as well. I'm going to do a whistle-stop tour of this stuff. Typically, we will do dedicated sessions, we'll do demos for you guys on a one-to-one basis, where we want to be able to spend a bit more time and talk through it and really understand your pain points. But I'm going to give you a pretty generic overview, and it's going to be quick. So if you're interested, do let the team know. We'll set up some follow-up sessions with you individually. So let's crack on. I am joining you guys from a Desk Pro. I love this device. This is my personal device that I have at home. As you can probably tell, I am not at home right now, but I have actually logged into this device because it is in hot desking mode. That essentially temporarily turns it into my personal device. So it's linked to my calendar, all my meetings come up, I get a big green join button. And that doesn't matter whether it's a WebEx meeting or a Microsoft Teams meeting or a Google meeting or a Zoom meeting or whatever kind of meeting it is, I get a really easy way to join, and you're going to see that later. One of the cool things on the Desk Pro is if I stood up nice and tall right now, you see how that camera raises automatically for me? I guarantee every single one of you has experienced at some point during the various lockdowns, during the pandemic, people joining from their laptop, and you either get this sort of up the nose view like that because their laptop's too low, or if they stand up to stretch their legs, you get a below the belt view. And that's not always what you want to be looking at. So you want to make sure that everyone's seeing your face. Don't have to worry about it with these systems, it will do that automatically. Of course, we can also use virtual backgrounds and things like that if we wanted to cover up what's going on behind us. But really, the video isn't actually the most important thing, which sounds strange to say when we're talking about video conferencing. But the most important thing is actually sound. Because if I were muted, so it's wonderful if you can see my face nice and clearly, but if you can't hear me, that's a problem. But it's not just about hearing me. We don't want to hear all the background noise either. So I have currently got no noise cancellation technology turned on. I've disabled it on this device, but as you can see, it's late here in the UK, so there's not many people in the office. So I'm going to simulate some background noise by using an iPad, and I'm going to hit play on this video. Fair warning for those of you wearing headphones, this is going to be loud. 3, 2, 1. So this is to simulate a lot of that background office noise. You can hear all these phones ringing, cutlery, cups, coffee cups being put down, people typing, but also people talking. This is really not what we want. And then you're joining from home, you've got kids screaming, you've got dogs barking, whatever. So I've just enabled a feature called Optimize for My Voice. You'll see I didn't touch the iPad, this video is still playing, but hopefully you cannot hear that at all. The system is very intelligent. It drowns out all that background noise, but additionally those background voices, because it knows that I am the voice that you actually want to be paying attention to right now. I'm going to pause it now because it's still super loud for me, but we've got a number of different noise cancelling headsets that we can use. There's a few different versions. I'll show you some later. And they are on-ear headphones. They don't have a boom mic, although we do still do ones like that. Personally, I do not like ones with a boom mic because I feel like at best, I look like a pro gamer, and at worst, I work in a call center, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with contact centers, but I wouldn't be wearing that sort of headset walking down the street listening to my music, right? So we want to make sure that for you guys on the remote end, you get the best possible video and the best possible audio. And then for me, I can have the headsets, which we'll see later. The other thing that we have seen is being on video calls all the time, we need to share content. And sharing content's not anything new, right? We've been able to do that for a while, and that's great. But what tends to happen is the screen is filled with the content, and then I get relegated to a small window. So you have to kind of do this, where you look up and down to see the person talking and their content. So I'm going to share in a slightly different way. I'm going to use a feature called Immersive Share. So you can actually now see me immersed in my content. And this is great. I'm maybe a bit too big for this content, so I'm just going to pinch and zoom and change, and I can put myself anywhere on this screen. Right now, you're seeing an early preview of the personal insights that are built into my WebEx app, because of course I use WebEx. WebEx is the best platform after all. But this tells me how I'm doing in terms of how often am I late to meetings? How often do my meetings end on time? What's my work-life balance like? And I can see I have quite a lot of meetings outside of my typical work hours. So I work across the Asia, Europe and the US region. So my hours are a bit interesting. And sometimes I don't get enough focus time to actually focus on stuff, but that's fine. That's something I can work on. So I can get all this feedback straight from here. I'm connected to this Desk Pro, so I can choose to share wirelessly as well, but you can see that I've actually signed in on this Desk Pro and it's signed into me. So even if I took my laptop away now, everyone's going to see that this Desk Pro is mine and they can't use it. I'm going to swap across to a website. If you forget everything I tell you in this presentation, remember this website, projectworkplace.cisco.com. This is where you can find out about every single one of our devices. If you click at the top here, you will see the desk series. You'll see the WebEx desk camera that can be used with any device. Plug it in, use whatever application you want, use that as a super powered webcam. Our room series, our boards, our accessories, our phones, everything. I'm going to show you all these devices throughout this session, but if you're not familiar with our devices, I suggest you click on workspaces, because you guys will know your workspaces better than you know our devices. Essentially though, we have a device for everything. So is it a personal office? Is it a huddle space? Is it a creation area? Is it a meeting room? Is it a special purpose room? Is it even down to the hallways and lobby areas? You can click into any of these and you can see exactly what they're designed for. How big of a room, how many people, and you can click into these to see even more detail. So as you scroll through, you can see this is actually what I'm sat in front of. This is the Desk Pro. I've got my Mac connected. It charges my Mac. It's allowing me to share content with you guys. And it is my second screen when I'm out of a call. Let's move me out the way of that text there. See how easy that is? We can do whiteboarding on this device, which we'll see later. We can join a call with this device. We can share content. All of this just makes it really easy to use. Our devices need to be easy. They need to be flexible for all the different things I need to do with them. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and just pause and see if you guys have any questions. You do have a Q&A section. There's a chat. So feel free to ask questions, and the Cisco team and our partners will let me know if anything in particular is coming up. good.
Well, Craig, I don't see any questions in the Q&A. And if everybody checks the chat, I did put the link to the projectworkplace.cisco.com in there.
Beautiful. Okay, so we've seen how I'm enabled to work from home. We've seen how we've got great noise cancellation technology, great cameras and everything like that. You still get those camera features, whether it's a WebEx meeting or not. So if it's a Microsoft Teams meeting, that's great. You still get that noise reduction. You still get the intelligent cameras, still get the same easy way to use it. But what happens when I want to return to the office? Now, I've been in the office basically all the time. I basically live here because I'm demoing this stuff, right? But maybe for people that aren't used to being in the office anymore, you want to check, what is the occupancy of the building? Are there going to be loads of people in? Are there going to be no one in? What rooms are available? How do I do all of that? Well, we're creating a new platform, which is something pretty special. I'm actually going to share just in the standard way. I'll just let you focus on the content this time. And I'm going to go up to this site. This is a new application that Cisco are developing right now, and we're currently deploying it internally within Cisco. And it's called Smart Workspaces. This is based on our DNA Spaces platform, which is our wireless information platform. So it's pulling in data from our wireless networks. It's also linking to our Meraki platform, pulling in data from their wireless data, from their cameras, from their sensors. And it's also linking in to our WebEx area. So where we have all of our endpoints, we can pull in information from the cameras, the microphone, the additional sensors that are built into our devices. So now I can actually see the New York office. Our New York office is recently opened, and you can see it's getting busy. There's a lot of red on our map here. We can click into any of these rooms and we can see that I have found one that is available. I can see that the air quality is very good, that the temperature is in Fahrenheit, so I can't read that because I use Celsius, but hey, you can put it in whatever temperature measurement you want. We can see the humidity is quite high and the room occupancy is just 2 for this room, but there's currently no one in there, so I can go ahead and put that on hold. I'm not going to do that because I'm not in New York, so I'm sure someone will get very annoyed if I book the room and don't turn up. But hey, why don't we use the intelligence in these cameras to detect whether someone turns up to that meeting? And we could even set it up to automatically release that room if no one turns up for the first 10 minutes, say. So we're looking at all these intelligent ways to not just enhance the meeting experience, but also the booking process, the availability, the additional sensor information that we can get, so we can actually have a better understanding of that wider facilities management. And that way we really are powering hybrid work. It's not just about, can I join a video call, right? So this is some cool stuff. I'm going to swap over now to one of my other systems so I can show you some of the more dedicated systems for the return to office. Give me 2 seconds and you'll see me from the other side. Okay guys, so I did promise 2 seconds. In a few seconds I should pop up large on your screen. Just give me a thumbs up that you can see and hear me. Beautiful. So this is where I was joined from before. Not far away. If I swipe up on here, you can see there's the map that I'm on. And if I swipe back to the home page, you can see our call that's going on right now. Let me zoom in on this for you so you can see nice and close. Here is my full desk series. This is my Desk Pro. It is currently signed in as me, and you can customize all of the content on these devices as well. So you can see I've got a WebEx button, a Google button, a Teams button. How do I share? How do I see my PC? How do I whiteboard? If I swipe across, I've built a macro to put this into a half-wake state so you can see what this would look like if I walked away from the device. This would happen automatically using the presence detection that's built into the device. But as I'm still here, I built that little button to force it into this state so I could demo it. So you can see everyone else says that the desk is booked. There's a little red bar at the top. So everyone knows that it's for me. When I tap in, I can get into this and I can interact with it. And I can swipe up from the bottom and navigate between my different open applications. This is exactly the behavior that I'm used to on my mobile phone. Or cell phone, as you guys would say, right? I'll translate for you. It's all cool. So if I'm swiping between different apps, I know how to do that. If I want to close an app, I can swipe up and that closes the app. It's intuitive. It's what I'm used to being able to do, right? So this is great. We've got a slightly smaller version. This one is called the WebEx Desk. This one's a 27-inch screen. This one's a 24-inch screen. This one's 4K. This one's HD. So you're looking at slightly different form factors. This one will charge my laptop as well, which I really like because it means I don't have to find another power cable. I can just plug straight into the Desk Pro. With the smaller versions, no power, but you still get all the other same capabilities. This one happens to be registered in personal mode to my demo user, Clara. So if I tap to wake this up, you can see that Clara actually has a number of different options on this screen. She's got 3 different join buttons because this is linked to her personal calendar and she's a very busy lady. She's got multiple meetings going on. One of these meetings is a WebEx meeting. One of them is a Microsoft Teams meeting. One of them is a Google meeting. But she's got that same green join button. So she doesn't have to sit there figuring out, how do I join Teams compared to how do I join Zoom? How do I join Google? She just hits join. Makes it nice and simple. Down this way, we've got another demo user. This is my user, Rose. She is registered in personal mode and she's invited to those same meetings. What you'll notice is this is the same user interface across these 3 devices. So it really is just about finding the right one for the right desk space. The difference with this one, this is the Desk Mini, is it's got this handy little carry handle. So this is very portable. You can pick this up, move it around wherever you need. This is kind of like our COVID baby. We created it during lockdown. It was aimed at the home user with not a lot of space. They can pick it up and move it around. That being said, you can use it anywhere. You're still going to get noise reduction. You're still going to get the intelligent camera. You're still going to get the whiteboard in, the same user interface, all this great stuff. You've also got the headsets that I mentioned before. You have the option of these docks as well that you can plug in to keep them on charge. This particular headset is the Cisco 730. This one is in charcoal. This one is in platinum, or black and white if you prefer, but they're the official names. So we've got these on here. And this one is actually plugged into the optional dock with our desk hub. So this one's slightly different to the rest of the desk range. This is designed more for that hot desking environment. But as we've seen, I'm using this one in hot desking mode as well. So all of these can be used in a hot desk way. If we tap to wake it up, I get my sign-in options. I can plug in my device using a USB-C. I can put my phone down on here and actually have NFC enabled so I can charge my phone, and it will also open up my WebEx app and sign me in automatically. You can use this just for audio. You can attach it to a screen to have content on there as well. And you could choose to add the WebEx desk camera, which you could use standalone with any device, or you can use it in tandem with the desk hub to get a fully fledged video conferencing system right on the desk. So you've got Desk Hub, Desk Mini, Desk, and Desk Pro. You find the right one for the right size of space. Let me move my screen over this way, and I'll show you guys the WebEx board. This one, really handily, wakes up automatically, just like all the others can, as soon as it detects presence. I happen to have invited this one to a Microsoft Teams call. There's that same big green join button, right? It needs to be simple. I've actually got the same option to swipe up and navigate between my different activities. I've got the same options that I can customize on the screen. So if I want to join a Teams call or a Google call or a WebEx call, I can have that on here. We can swipe across and have multiple different things on here, whatever we need. These are all just web apps, so I can load in whatever is useful for my users. The only difference between the board and the desk series is the whiteboarding function. All of them have the same whiteboarding function. If I jump into a whiteboard right now, you've got the option of a white canvas or a black canvas. It's up to you which you prefer. And I can go ahead and change my pen thickness, change my color, whatever I want to do on here, and I can scribble away nice and easily. It's touch capacitive. But the difference between the desk series and the board is this pen. With the board, you get 2 active pens. This means that if I scribble away on the board here, that I'm actually using a different color. Rather than going down to the bottom, if I hold down the button and tap the screen, I get my own color window. So I can choose a different color, different thickness, and scribble away on this. Whereas someone using their finger uses a different color, and someone using the second pen uses yet another set of tools. This makes it much more flexible when you've got multiple people working on the same device. It is an infinite whiteboard, so you can pinch and zoom and move stuff out of the way. You can have shape recognition enabled on this, so it keeps your drawings nice and neat. And it's really simple. Now, technically, we have multiple touch points enabled, but physically, there is space for 3 people. So 2 people using the pens, 1 person using their fingers, and of course, if you're on a WebEx call, multiple people joining from whatever device they're using, and all of us being able to collaborate and whiteboard together. What happens when I want to save this content? I can hit save. I could save it to a WebEx chat space. It stays as a whiteboard. I could send it as an email. It saves as a PDF. I could equally go into my Files tab, and I can choose to connect to a server. This one's actually asking me to sign into OneDrive, for example. So we've got a number of different ways to say, use whatever tools you like. We'll customize this, but we want to keep it simple. On this one, I also had a laptop connected. This laptop is actually over the other side of the room. I'm using a 9-meter USB-C cable that is powering the laptop, allowing me to share 4K content locally, whatever quality content is supported on the meeting platform that you're joining. So if that's WebEx, that's full HD. I'm also being able to use our touch redirect on here. So this is actually Clara's laptop, my demo user. Clara's a Microsoft Teams user. She made a bad decision, went with a terrible platform, but it's all good. We still want to help her out. So she can actually go ahead and click in, use her Microsoft Teams client or whatever application she wants, and she can go ahead and join. Now it's going to automatically select the camera, the speakers, the microphone, and make the most of the hardware here. And I haven't had to run back and forward between my laptop. I've got the option to use all of this system straight from here. Personally, I don't like doing it that way because it means my laptop is doing a lot of the processing power. I'd rather give my laptop a rest, let it focus on other jobs, and just use the board natively. So I'll go ahead and I hit join, and I'm now joining into a Microsoft Teams meeting. That was easy, right? Just hit join. I'm going to go off camera a second, and I'm going to join from Clara's desk. I'm going to join that same meeting using the big green join button, and you guys will see me joining in over video. There we go. You still get all of the same features, same noise reduction, same immersive share capabilities, all of that stuff built in. Doesn't matter that it's a Microsoft Teams call, or a Google call, or a Zoom call, or whatever we want to use. I'm going to keep going in the interest of time. I'm going to show you guys 2 more systems, the RoomKit series. We have a RoomKit Mini. This will do that USB-C pass-through capability, so use this as a super-powered webcam, still get all those great features, but this one's designed for a small huddle space. You're looking at 2 to 4 people. You've got a Navigator touch panel. For those of you that are familiar with our devices, you might be familiar with the Touch 10. This is the new version. It works in exactly the same way. Same user interface, there's just no physical buttons, they're all digital. This makes it much more flexible for us, and we can keep the mute button in the same place every time. We can customize these to have all those different macros on as well. But if we wanted to go for a slightly larger device, the RoomKit, it looks very similar. It uses the same Navigator touch panel. So whichever one I'm using, I'm familiar with how to use it. The other device that I have looks like this. This is actually the camera that I'm using on the call right now. This is a quad camera. So this is designed for the medium to large meeting rooms. And the only difference is it's got 4 cameras to get better angles on the larger room. If I zoom in a little bit closer, I can actually show you guys the navigators in detail. So over on this side, here is my navigator. We can see that it has a similar sort of buttons on here for joining WebEx, joining Google, or whatever it might be. You can customize this with whatever you want. So I've got additional functionality on there. There is another version of the touch panel though. This one is typically wall mounted, and you typically see this outside of the meeting room. So the table version comes by default with the room systems. The wall mounted one is an optional extra, because you might be able to see there's a green LED on this device right now showing me that the room is available. If I want to book the room, I can go ahead and say book, and that green LED turns red. So this is really easy for people to see what's available, how can I book it. Now this is just blocks the calendar. We're using a Microsoft Outlook Office 365 calendar. There is no additional third-party booking system here. We are just making the most of our Office 365 environment with our WebEx device. If, however, I'm in the meeting, I can see that that meeting is booked and I want to extend the meeting, I can do that. If I want to remove the meeting, I can do that as well. And remember, that could happen automatically if no one comes in. If I move this one back into the middle, now I'm swapping between lots of different ones, we'll see in just a few seconds that the calendar gets released and we'll see our red turn to green so everyone knows that that room is available again. I'm hoping you're seeing a theme here, that this stuff is nice and simple and easy to use. So, how do we improve the meeting experience? Ease of use, that's the first step. Ease of joining, ease of controlling the system. I've been using different camera presets to really zoom in close, but now I've actually got a feature called speaker track enabled. This means I don't need to be anywhere near the touch panel. I'm going to actually run off camera. And let's say I'm in a meeting room joining from another part of the room. I don't want to be manually controlling the cameras all the time. So the cameras are smart. They listen for where my voice is coming from. They look for a face. And they intelligently crop me so you guys get the best possible view of who is talking during a meeting. So if I pop back in the middle, it takes a couple of seconds. It's making sure I'm saying something important. You know, if it's in a meeting, I said, oh, hey, Leo, can you pass me that pen? And then suddenly I'm the big thing that everyone sees. That's kind of awkward. So we built in the delay purposefully. But let me show you how this stuff actually works behind the scenes, because it's kind of cool. If I turn on the diagnostic mode, this is what the camera is actually seeing. It's seeing the whole view of the room. This blue square around me is that zoom that you were seeing before. That was the intelligent crop. As I move around the room, you'll see that these green squares are following me. That's a positive face detection. And I also have face recognition enabled. I opted in for that. So I've provided a picture of my face and I've provided my name. And I've said, I allow you to use this information together. There's an opt-in feature for privacy. But this means that I can have a name tag shown on the screen, which makes it really nice when I haven't seen people in a while, maybe I don't recognize them, I've forgotten their name, we could have that pop up on the screen. If I move over to this side of the room, you can see that it still follows me. It works even if you're wearing a mask. So if you've got people wearing masks going back to the office, it still tracks you. And you can see this yellow box is the new crop that the system said, this is the best possible view of Craig. It's actually using the left camera lens in the quad camera system to get a better angle on me. But wherever I am, you know you're going to get the best view. Because it's just me in, everyone else seems to have left the office already. I'm going to bring in my good friend Leonardo DiCaprio to help me out. So he gets picked up as well. Leo's kept me company during lockdown when it was just me in the office. But you can see how he gets picked up too. He's a bit shy, so he didn't opt in for face recognition, so no name label. He's also a bit quiet, so he only gets one green square rather than two. So the system's smart enough to detect who the active speaker is, but it's also smart enough to say, hey, we're close enough together, so let's frame them both rather than cutting Leo half off the video. But I've now got this number. It tells me that there's 2 people using this room. So now I can start to see how much of our room's being used. Does Jerry keep booking the 20-person meeting room and only 2 people turn up each week? That's not what we want. Equally, is the 5-person meeting room being used for 20 people and everyone's just cramming in? That's not the experience we want. Maybe that 20-person meeting room, we don't want 20 people in there anymore. We only want 8 or 10 to allow for a bit of social distancing. We've got used to being slightly more distant from each other, which, to be honest, is quite nice sometimes, right? So we want to make sure that you can make the most of this technology. Let me share my screen with you guys, and I'm going to show you where we get all this information. It is in our WebEx Control Hub. This covers everything, our WebEx users, our WebEx services, our WebEx devices. You can see I've got a number of devices that are online and they have issues. That's fine. I've caused most of these issues because they're in my demo space. So I've turned off and on various features to be able to demo them. But I love the fact that it tells me about this, so I can troubleshoot this. I can actually troubleshoot everything down the side here, whether that's ongoing calls, live calls, and I can see analytics of everything going on as well. So this really helps me with user enablement. Can I see that a number of meetings have gone down, but the number of meetings where content's been shared has actually gone up? I can see that only a few meetings are being recorded and no one's using breakout sessions. So maybe my users didn't realize that they were features. Let's go ahead and train them. But everyone seems to be using the WebEx assistant. I haven't even spoken about the assistant yet. You can ask the assistant to join your calls for you, to share content for you. Think of our WebEx assistant just like Alexa, just like Siri, just like the Google Assistant. It's built in on all our devices and it's built in the WebEx app as well. And if I ask the assistant to join a meeting, the WebEx assistant, she's not fussy. She doesn't care if it's a WebEx meeting or a Google meeting or a Teams meeting. She'll still join it for you. All right, so we don't judge here. It's all good. But we've got all these options. Let me jump into devices. I'm going to search for the device that I'm on right now, which is the RoomKit Pro, using that quad cam. You can see I've got a navigator associated with it as well. And if I click in, I'll be able to see that there's some issues on the device. I've turned off my wireless sharing in here because I've got multiple devices. So I'm going to leave that problem alone. I could choose to enable digital signage. You might have seen some of the signage popping up behind me on some of the systems. This is great because it means that we are able to make the systems useful even when they're not being used. If it is an interactive screen, that could be interactive digital signage. This comes free in your WebEx licenses, and there is a further paid version as well if you want to get even cleverer about it. All the configurations, I can make changes in here, and I can do this per device or at a global level and update my devices everywhere. If I jump into the workspace, here's where I see that Office 365 calendar that's associated with my device. So it can be pre-booked, it can have that meeting detail and get that big green join button. Now I can see that this device is currently on a call. That makes sense, it's the one I'm using. The room is occupied. That makes sense, I'm standing here. I didn't book the room and I haven't paired my WebEx app. But if I bring in Leo's face to simulate another person again, then we'll see that that occupant's number will go up in a second. But I've set the capacity of this room to just one person. So this is also going to alert me to the fact that now there are actually too many people in the room for the set occupancy. So I'm going to get rid of Leo. Leo DiCaprio, not Leo Galletta. And we want to see some extra information in here as well. So sound level, ambient noise, we use the microphones in the system. The occupancy and the presence detection, again, using the mics and the cameras in the system. On the desk series and the board, you will get some additional sensors like the temperature and humidity gauge. And in the navigators, the new version of the touch panels that ship as default with the devices now, you'll also get an air quality sensor. You can hover over these to see all the details. You can see we use a TVOC sensor, which is a volatile organic compound sensor that gives you an idea of how this is all coming together. Now you can see this over time, over the last 24 hours, over the last 30 days. You can export this as a report and you can see I've constantly breached my max occupancy of the day. And you can see, luckily, I wasn't doing demos past 8 o'clock last night until 8 o'clock this morning. So I do actually get out of here sometimes. They do let me occasionally, but I can see the usage metrics of this space. I can see the environmental metrics. So let's imagine that meeting room A is booked for a meeting at 3 p.m., but I can see there's no one in the building until midday. Well, now I don't necessarily need the lights on and the air conditioning and all these other systems. I can start to make more intelligent decisions, not just about my meeting experience, but the wider facility. So I really am powering this hybrid work from end to end. And you can see I've chosen Celsius, but you guys can choose Fahrenheit if you want to keep using that. Doesn't make any sense to me, but there you go. So all of this stuff is built in. The control hub manages all your users, all your devices, all your peripherals, all your troubleshooting, all your analytics, everything to do with our endpoints. We can then feed that information into our smart workspaces solution so that we can see that wider building management, book all of the systems, get that big green join button on the screen, join into any meeting platform easily, and have the best possible experience across the board. That is a lot of information to take in. I think I've just about stuck to time and left enough time for any Q&A. Any questions coming up in the chat, guys?
So Craig, there are no questions in the Q&A. However, if all the participants, if you'd like to look in the chat, there are links to the WebEx board, to the interoperability, the navigator, something that we were not able to show today, but the future of video technology, the holographic technology, it's all in there. So please take a look at the chat for those links. And if you have any questions, please put them into the Q&A. I think it's
I'll
over
finish off
to-
with a quick summary for you guys
Yep.
then, because I covered a lot. So, a few things to look forward to. Hologram, yes, WebEx hologram. It's pretty awesome. I've tried it. We've got a headset. I'm very soon going to get a hologram pod so I can actually deliver these hologram sessions as well. So if you're interested, let the team know and we'll set that up in the near future. Of course, we can set up further demos of this as well. The key thing that I want to get across to you guys is you got the Room Kit Mini for your huddle spaces, your Room Kit for your small to medium meeting rooms, the quad camera for those medium to large rooms, the Board Pro for those more collaborative whiteboarding rooms, the Desk Pro, the Desk Mini, and the Desk Hub for those desktop environments, including that WebEx Desk Cam. All of this can be found on that Project Workplace website. Really, the key message is identify the workspace, and that will dictate which video system we provide for you. We have a system for every possible workspace, whilst keeping the easy user experience. So if you're interested, let the team know. We can set up a further session where we dive deeper one-on-one, and you can ask us as many questions as you like. But for now, if there's no questions, I'll assume that means I've explained everything perfectly, and you're all very smart and you followed along very well with all of that information.
Thanks, Craig. Awesome. You always do a great job, and I think I really learn a lot and appreciate it. So, and appreciate you sticking in after hours over there. But I choose to use Fahrenheit.
No worries.
I'm not sure about the metric system.
Hey, and good news for you guys, we have hired a dedicated demo engineer for our brand new New York office.
Awesome.
He is actually with me in London at the moment. So I'm training him up here. We're going to make sure he's as good or even better than me. So he's going to be going out to New York in a couple of months' time. We're waiting for visas and stuff to go through, and then you'll have a dedicated engineer there. But hey, I'm still here to support you guys remotely as well.
Thank you. Anthony, could you pass me the share so I can just kind of jump into a quick visual kind of and talk about some use cases? Thank you, sir. Perfect. All right, folks. So first off, I want to say I saw a lot of familiar faces, and definitely it's great to see you. Appreciate your time. In addition, I understand that various folks there are different places within their journey, different investments, right? Whether it be Cisco or others. And I think one of the key takeaways from today is the ease of use, the purpose-built platforms that Cisco has developed, but at the same time, the agnostic nature of it, right? So we understand that various companies or various organizations that are out there have chosen their meeting platform, although we believe that the WebEx provides a superior experience, right? We understand that that's not the only platform that's out there. So understanding that and putting in this technology into these endpoints where it's not specific to a meeting platform is really the direction that Cisco is gone and is really putting in their effort, right? In addition to their platform. So it's important to know that a lot of those speaker tracking capabilities, noise reduction capabilities, all the capabilities to join meetings, right? Whether it be one button to push or through the touch panel, that's going to be there regardless of the platform you choose, right? So if you're Zoom users, I know I saw a lot of folks that I know are Zoom users out there. Same experience, whether it be your Google Meets. I know there's some Google Meet folks out there as well, and Microsoft Teams. We're going to be providing that consistent experience. So when we look at this overall architecture, if you have existing investments in Cisco on an on-prem perspective, We can have these various Cisco endpoints register to on-prem, provide similar capabilities from a calling perspective that you've seen in the past from a PSTN standpoint, but we also make them cloud aware because we know that a lot of the AI, that zero touch capabilities, you heard about WebEx Assistant, a lot of that developments, whether it be Cisco or others, is cloud based. So whether you have an on-prem system, we can extend that capability to the cloud by allowing it to be cloud aware. So we can register these endpoints to the cloud. If you don't have any existing on-prem or any existing investments in Cisco, register to on-prem. And the reason we would want to do that is you saw that control hub. We want to have the capability to essentially manage these devices, get them to the same software version, essentially configure them. I don't want to have point devices where I'm going around to each of these various rooms that maybe or various locations that we put these devices on varying versions of code. These devices may be not agnostic, right? They may be platform specific. I want to be able to have these devices that are agnostic, can essentially be managed from an enterprise perspective, can be essentially configured, and at the same time provide consistent experience, right? So I'm providing that, whether that navigator experience or that traditional touch 10 experience, it's consistent, and I'm able to essentially configure that. So having these devices register into Cisco, as we see here from the architecture, and being able to integrate with these various cloud platforms via different methods. So SIP has been a standards-based protocol to date, right, that a lot of them used. And then others, we have the capability to integrate via a combination of SIP and WebRTC. So from a Zoom perspective, right at this point in time, we can integrate with SIP. You can provide that rich experience. We can do one button to push so that it would, Craig showed earlier. So the same holds true for Google Meets. We can do a WebRTC integration. So these endpoints have what they call a web aging capability, where we can, even though the platform may not support a SIP standard, we can integrate it via WebRTC. Now there's pros and cons. SIP providing a much richer experience, SIP providing the capabilities to have a multi-board scenario where I can have content shared on one and then have users being shown on the other, right? So those type of experiences may not be there in a WebRTC type of scenario as we would have in SIP. And that's why when we look at the platforms, we look at the investments that organizations have, we want to provide the most rich experience for the platform that you've chosen, but at the same time, understanding that you're not going to always be leveraging that platform that you chose in order to have meetings, because you may be joining other organization meetings and wanting to have the capability to do that from your consistent endpoints. So WebRTC from a Google Meets perspective, obviously providing a more enhanced experience from a SIP standpoint with WebEx. And then from a Microsoft Teams perspective, we have capability to integrate with both WebRTC and SIP. And SIP is via CVI, so which most of you or some of you may know. It stands for Cloud Video Interop. Microsoft certifies different manufacturers in order to integrate with their platform. Cisco is one of those providers. So if we want to provide that rich experience where we can be shared multiple screens, look at rosters, full rosters, have control, we would want to more so look towards that CVI. But if we want to just, we maybe Microsoft Teams isn't our platform that we chose. Maybe we chose Zoom, but we want to be able to join Microsoft Teams meetings. We can do so with the WebRTC. So a lot of flexibility in the way we can join these platforms. From the end user perspective, it's definitely transparent. So they're not going to have to worry whether it be WebRTC or SIP. From an enterprise or operations perspective, obviously from a technical standpoint, these are things that we would typically talk about. And I would also recommend that if you have any questions regarding these different types of integrations, because they could get confusing, definitely reach out to us and we could set up those meetings to have those conversations. But it's important to know that these purpose-built platforms provide that rich experience regardless of the platform, and we have different integration capabilities that will be seamless to the end user to provide those cross-meeting platforms. Another component I just wanted to talk about before we left today's conversation, we know that a lot of our customers have made significant investments in Microsoft Teams, right? Just because Teams is Microsoft owns the desktop, right? So having that integration, Microsoft Teams is there. A lot of folks have used that platform for whether it be messaging or in addition to meetings. Regardless of what that is, if you have an existing on-prem Cisco investment, we've come up with a solution, what we call Converged Connect, or we branded Converged Connect, which allows us to use native Microsoft Teams capabilities. So leveraging that native soft phone capability within Microsoft Teams, not installing any plugins, not doing any sort of cross launch, but leveraging the native soft phone capabilities within Teams and extending the on-prem to that Teams environment. For instance, a call flows in from the PSTN into your desktop phone. I can simultaneously ring Microsoft Teams without any sort of plugin natively, and you can answer that on your soft phone. You can enter it on your desktop. If you answered it on your soft phone, the same holds true. If you came in the traditional sense where we had single number reach, you came back into your desk and you wanted to be able to hang that soft phone capability up because maybe you answered it on your mobile device via Teams, or maybe you had it on the desktop, you have full control over that where we can pull it back. So we're able to use Microsoft Teams as pretty much a soft phone, providing that seamless capability that you come to experience from, whether it be Cisco soft phones or other soft phones that have been directly integrated with those on-prem systems. So if you're interested to hear more about Converged Connect, we'd definitely love to also have those conversations. But once again, these architectures are evolving. They're very evolving into more agnostic approach, and we definitely see this to be the future of the hybrid workplace, right? So not really having to choose a single platform, but being able to work with you in order to provide that direction and provide those integration points. So with that being said, I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna pass it back over to Leo. I know we're running a little bit over. We can then wrap up, and we'll take it from there. I look forward to speaking with everybody. Thank you.
Awesome, Scott. Thank you very much. I am going to share my desktop. So just going to kind of grab the ball real quick. And Anthony, if you want to pass that over to me, that'd be fantastic. And it'll be about 1 or 2 minutes and we'll be fully wrapped up, folks. So thank you for hanging in there with us. All right, so, all right, everybody. So, hey, we've gone through quite a bit in a short period of time today, so we understand that. But we were very excited to bring to you a combination of a preview of some world-class technologies. The innovation that we've seen specific to Cisco is unique in the industry, and really just kind of highlight the art of what's possible. And as part of our wrap up, just want to remind everybody that we're for those organizations that are kind of leaning in, and those folks and organizations that are thinking about the fact that this hybrid workforce or this hybrid workplace environment is here to stay at least well into the foreseeable future. The idea is, how can we get a more immersive, engaged experience for our end users, right? That are working from the remote home offices, that are working from anywhere, as we continue to diversify our labor force, and really improve the audio experience, provide them with that high quality video experience, and for us to be able to then use analytics to ensure that we are providing the best experience possible. For those folks that are going back to the office, making sure that we have that and plan for the safe return. And then while in the office, just delivering that intelligent workplace experience. A good number of folks here know us, but there's some folks here that are meeting us for the first time. If you are, just know that, hey, we view ourselves to be one of the leading IT solutions providers here in the New York tri-state area. For the most part, we service organizations that are headquartered here in the Northeast, but that have predominantly U.S. domestic presence in international locations. We've been around for 16 plus years. Everything that we design, we implement. We provide our award-winning Assist 360 ongoing support. And I like to think that if you spoke to some of our other customers, they would give us an endorsement and a nod of recognition for the exceptional talent that we have within our team. We spoke today mostly about collaboration, primarily about WebEx and some of the innovations in that space. In some number of instances, we're meeting folks for the first time, or perhaps we're working with the existing customers in a particular technology. But we like to keep top of mind the breadth of what we can do in the enterprise networking space. So of your routing, your switching, your wireless, your SD-WAN type technologies. Certainly what we've discussed in collaboration, and then some, to include contact centers and other application technologies. Doing an awful lot in data center, relocations, bare metal build outs, virtualization, hybrid, public cloud migrations, Office 365, Azure, just quite a bit there. And certainly a lot in cybersecurity. It's a never-ending topic, and unfortunately, we have a great number of bad actors out there, and we're just trying to stay ahead of the curve with our customers. And again, everything that we provide to our customers, we have the ability to support through our Assist 360 managed services.